Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is that time of year where all the retained release lists have started to be published, and lots of fans up and down the country like myself start to play manager. I've started sifting through lots of lists of players that will be available on free transfers, and I've compiled a list of players that I think could be attainable for the Gills this summer. Chances are I will get absolutely zero of them correct, but it's good fun trying. I'm going to break it down into categories by position. So I've got 2 goalies, 2 right backs, 2 left backs, 2 centre backs, 2 centre midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders, 2 wingers and 2 strikers, plus honourable mentions for others. So let's get straight into it. First goalkeeper I've found is Lee Nichols, who has been released recently by MK Dons, 28 years old, played 52 games since the start of 1920, since MK came back up to the 3rd tier. That's in all competitions. He's kept 13 clean sheets in that time, so seems solid, decent shot stopper, good age for a keeper, will bring experience but still got plenty of years left in him. Former clubs include the likes of Northampton and Bristol Rovers. Could be one that's attainable on a free transfer. So that's my first pick, Lee Nichols. Second goalkeeper that I found is also 28 years old, and he was plying his trade in the Championship last season, and that is Ryan Alsop, who's been released by Wycombe Wanderers. Played 29 games in the 2nd tier last season as Wycombe unfortunately came back down. He did play 38 times though in 2019-20 as Wycombe won the playoffs, and he kept 13 clean sheets in that time. So it's a decent strike rate. That's 1 every 3. So if you're looking at a full campaign that's not COVID reduced, then that would be around 15 clean sheets in the league, which would be an excellent return for any keeper and defence. Former clubs for Alsop include the likes of Coventry, Blackpool and Lincoln, so he does have experience of the lower leagues, and I think he'd be a solid addition. Others that could potentially be viable options are Joe Lumley. He's at QPR at the moment. He's been their second choice, and we had him for 2 games on loan during 2021 when Jack Bonham had to miss a couple of fixtures because of concussion. And secondly is a little bit of nostalgia. There's a couple of keepers that have been released by Crawley. So if money was tight and we had to go down the player, keeper, coach route, there's Glenn Morris and Stuart Nelson, both been released by Crawley Town. Moving on now to fullbacks, and the first one I found on the right-hand side is young Elvis Buomono, 22 years of age, been playing for the last 2 seasons in Southend United's first team, firstly in League 1 and then in League 2, as the Roots Hall outfit, sadly for them, suffered back-to-back relegations. But plenty of potential, like I say, only 22 years of age, played 83 games in the last 2 seasons, so he's averaging 41, 42 per campaign. 6 assists from fullback is not a shabby return at all. Product of the youth system, and certainly could be one to keep an eye on, and I think we have been loosely linked to him on social media. Whether that's one of those in the know pages, I'm not sure. It is a trusted journalist, but certainly one to keep an eye on. My second option for the right back area could be Donald Love. 26 years of age, been released by Shrewsbury this summer. 56 games over the last 2 years with the Salop, having joined from Sunderland. Kept 22 clean sheets in that time, so that's pretty much 1 every 2.5 games, which is a really good return for a team that was very decent defensively last season, not so much in 2021. 4 assists in that time as well, so not as attacking, but certainly a solid option. 26 years of age is a good age still, and he does have that experience of coming through Man United's youth system and then playing at Sunderland. So that's my second option, Donald Love. Moving over to the other side of the pitch now, as I haven't got any alternatives at the right back position. So we're looking at left backs now. And this is a player that spent a loan spell with us a few seasons ago. He's 27 now. He's been released by Blackburn of the Championship, and that's Amari Bell. Played 100 games since joining Rovers in January 2018. 88 have been at Championship level, so got good pedigree, still a good age. Remember him being very solid defensively when he played for us for a short spell. Liked to get up and down and try and overlap the winger. 25 clean sheets and 6 assists in that period. So it's a clean sheet every 4 games overall. But obviously you've got to remember that stepping up to the Championship, the quality is better than it is in League 1. Amari can count his former clubs, can count the likes of Fleetwood, Gillingham and Swindon amongst his former clubs, the latter 2 being on loan, and he spent a good spell at Fleetwood where he did really well a couple of seasons back. So that's my first pick, Amari Bell. My second pick for the left back position is a player again that we've been linked to on social media, mainly back in January, and nothing came of it, and that's Connor Wood, 24-year-old left back from Bradford City. 115 games he's played since the start of 2018-19, 22 in League 1 a couple of seasons ago before the Bantams were relegated. He's kept 26 clean sheets in that period and 10 assists, which I think is a really good return for a fullback. So you're looking at about 3 or 4 per season, which I don't think anyone can be sniffed at at. Former clubs include Leicester Youth System, but he has been at Bradford for the last 3 years. Still only 24, so a really good age. So potential there, but plenty of league experience already. One other name that I have found, and that's from in the Championship, Luton Town. I know there's been a potential link of Connor Ogilvie, our former left-back, going to Luton. So maybe there's room for them to move one out, and that would be Dan Potts. Like I say, he's been very good at Luton for the last few years, and he could be an option if Connor Ogilvie goes to Kenilworth Road. Into the middle of the park we go now, the heart of the defence, and my first centre-back pick is one that I'm sure won't be entirely popular amongst the supporter base, but I have picked out Deji Osulaja. I think he's a much better player now than he was when he was with us initially on loan, but let's not forget, during 2015-16, he was keeping Max Amar out the side in that partnership with John Egan, as we finished 9th after looking all set for at least the playoffs all season long. He then moved on at the end of 2016-17, and he's played 127 games since then, played 80 for AFC Wimbledon, as he was made their club captain, so obviously very highly regarded there. Played 25 times for the Championship side Charlton last season. Unfortunately, they couldn't avoid the drop, and in that period he's kept 29 clean sheets overall. Like I say, probably a better player now, a more rounded centre-half, more experienced. He was only a kid when he first turned up, and I think Deji Osulaja could be a valuable, experienced option at the middle of the defence. My second pick is a player that we had on loan last season, and he somewhat surprisingly became a centre-back for the last 2 games, and I thought he didn't put a foot wrong in both of them appearances. I'm talking about Tommy O'Connor. He's been really good for us generally over the last 2 years on loan. 22 years of age, out of contract at Southampton. So if he's not going to be offered a new deal there, I think he's someone that we should look at getting back in on a permanent basis. Can play 3 positions, centre-back, left wing-back, left side of a diamond, so that's essentially 4 positions, so versatility could be key if we run with a smallish squad next season. Like I say, he's been pretty good over the 2 spells he's had with us, racked up 67 games and 21 clean sheets as we finished 10th in back-to-back campaigns. So that's my second pick for centre-back, but someone who could cover other roles as well, Tommy O'Connor. My alternative pick is a second player from Shrewsbury, and that's Roshan Williams, who's been released. Still at a good age. I think he's only 22 or 23, so still bags of potential and could be one that we could look at. Moving further up the pitch now into the middle of midfield, so looking at central midfielders, and my first one is Sean Williams, Irish ex-Millwall player, now 34, but still doing a job for the Lions over the last few seasons. Racked up over 250 games for the London outfit after arriving in 2014 in the January transfer window. 22 goals in that time, so clearly not his forte, but I think could provide valuable leadership and experience shielding a back 4, and would provide a good option alongside Stuart O'Keefe and or Carl Dempsey, depending on whether the skipper's still with us next season. Naturally defensive, loads of leadership, like I say, can cover at centre-back, which is really good option to have as well, and counts his can count MK Dons as a former club. My second pick is a player who's at the other end of the age spectrum, was at Doncaster last season, played 55 games in 2 years for Rovers, and provided 4 goals and 2 assists. A really naturally athletic box-to-box midfielder. I'm talking about Maja Gomez. Been really impressed when I've seen him, whether that's against us or on Quest highlights. I think he's a really good player. Will get up and down, got a good engine, gets about the park really well. And I think he could be a very viable option if he is willing to move down south. Former club was Leeds. He was there as a youth product. I think he then went abroad to a couple of clubs in the outback of Europe, but it didn't really work out. But like I say, 55 games over the last 2 seasons at the Keep Moat. Maja Gomez. My alternative pick is Liam Walsh, a young midfielder who's been released by Bristol City. I know he's missed a lot of time through injury, so that'd be something we need to keep an eye on, but he could be someone to keep an eye on, like I say. Now moving to wider areas as I look at potential wingers that we could bring in. We all know that we played predominantly a 4-2-3-1 throughout 2021. We know Jordan Graham's left, so it'd be good if we can get a couple of wingers in so that we can persist with that system, which worked very well on the whole. My first one, another Bristol City player who's been released, 24 years old, has had a couple of spells on loan at clubs in League One, and that's Hakib Adelakun. He was impressive at Scunthorpe from 2012 to 2018, I believe. 20 goals and 26 assists in 6 seasons with the Iron. That earned him a move to Bristol City, but unfortunately it's not not really worked out for him at Ashton Gate. Played 23 games on loan in League One over the last 2 seasons with Rotherham and then Hull. Both of them teams, if you're looking for lucky omens, have been promoted to the Championship. Provided 3 goals and assists in them 23 games. Plays either side. I think he's naturally right-sided, but can play from the left as well. And like I say, counts his former clubs as Scunthorpe, Hull, Rotherham and Bristol City. And that's my first pick, Hakeeb Adelakun. My second winger is 27-year-old Callum Harriott, who's just been released from League Two side Colchester United. I thought Harriott was a really good prospect when he was at Charlton a long time ago. That was where he broke through and started drawing attention to himself. He played 95 games and provided 12 goals and 4 assists at the Valley. He went to Reading. It didn't really work out for him, unfortunately, but he's been really impressive the last 2 seasons at Colchester United, especially this season in what's been a struggling Colchester team. He's provided 12 goals and 9 assists in 64 appearances over the last 2 campaigns. So it's effectively a goal contribution every 3 matches from out wide. Another one who can play either side from the left or the right. Geographically would make sense. Like I say, he counts Charlton and Reading amongst his former clubs. Mates with Ryan Jackson potentially as well, so there could be a link in that way. So that's my second pick, Callum Harriott. My alternative is another player that was really good at Scunthorpe a few years ago and it earned himself a move to Fleetwood. Unfortunately, it's not really worked out for him as well up there at Highbury, but I think if you could discover that film from the 2016-17 season, Josh Morris could be a really good option. Moving back into the middle of the park now as I look at attacking midfielders, those that can link midfield and attack. And our first pick is pretty much not surprising at all. He's had 3 loan spells at the Priestfield in total, 2 in the last 2 campaigns. That's 29-year-old former Hearts midfielder Ollie Lee. 58 appearances for the Gills since the start of 2019-20. And in that period, he's contributed 11 goals and 10 assists. So that's 21 direct goal contributions. So he's looking at a goal contribution every 2.5 games, which is a very good return at this level. Technically, he's very good. He works hard off the ball, picks up pockets of space. And I know he wants to move back down this way for his family. So certainly one that we should look at. He was superb at Luton when they came out of League Two a few seasons ago, playing alongside his brother. Counts along amongst his previous clubs. West Ham as a youth player, Birmingham, Plymouth on loan, and obviously Hearts most recently. But yeah, I think we should be doing all we can to get Ollie Lee back in on a permanent basis. My second selection in the number 10 role is another former Colchester United player, which might be slightly surprising to some considering how much they struggled in League Two throughout 2021. But my pick is 26-year-old Giovanni Brown. Like I say, plays central predominantly, but he can operate from either side as well. So he would provide good versatility. He played 45 times for the Essex outfit in 2021, providing 11 goals and 2 assists. And if you look at the bigger picture, he's provided 25 goals and 27 assists in 163 career appearances, which is around 1 in 3. Now, that's a record that can't be sniffed at any level, I don't think. And he counts the likes of Cambridge United and Forest Green on loan amongst his previous clubs. So that's my second pick for a second central attacking midfielder, Giovanni Brown. My alternative pick is a player that was on loan at a really poor Bristol Rovers side last season. He was at Charlton before that, and it looks like he's been released. Very good at Walsall a few years ago, and that is Erhan Oztuma. So that could be one to keep an eye on. The final position to be looked at is one of the most important positions on the park, and that is goal scorers. So I'm looking now at 2 centre-forward picks, and my first is a player that in fact scored against us last season in the League Cup for Coventry. That is Maxime Biamou, who's been released by the Sky Blues from the Championship. He scored 16 times in 62 games over the last 2 seasons. That's in the Championship and League One. Overall, a record at Coventry is 26 goals and 11 assists from 116 games. So you're looking at around 1 in 3.5 per goal contribution. I know he suffered with injury a couple of years ago, having arrived from Sutton, but I think he could be a big player if he dropped down back into League One. And like I say, previous club, Sutton United. So that's my first pick for a striker, Maxime Biamou. My second striker selection is a player who's been released by Portsmouth. Slightly nomadic career, but still at a good age, 26 years of age, and that's Geordie Hawula. Like I say, been nomadic throughout his career, had a lot of loan spells, but when he has settled and played for teams for a full campaign, he's done relatively well. He's got 45 league goals in 129 starts, got double figures in consecutive seasons in 17-18 and 18-19, can operate out wide as well. And yeah, could be a player I think that could have untapped potential if you give him regular games. So my second pick, who has former clubs like Wigan, Walsall, Bradford and Fleetwood, is Geordie Hawula. My two alternative picks are young Harvey Saunders, who's been released by Simon Grayson at Fleetwood. I think he's still at a really good age with loads of potential and could be one to keep an eye on. And the second one is a player that I picked up a couple of seasons ago. I think he then suffered an injury, unfortunately, and that was at Fleetwood. But he's gone to Oldham and done really well. And I think he's got 16 goals last season, and that's Conor McKellenay. So that is my final two alternative picks for strikers. Right, that is it from me for my potential targets. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me, providing some stats and information about those players we could potentially look at and try to bring into the club. Like I say, I'm pretty sure Steve Evans won't do any of them. I'm pretty sure he won't look at any of them, but it's good fun. It creates discussion. So please leave your thoughts down below on YouTube. Please contribute when we put the video up on Twitter and Facebook. There will be clips out on Instagram as well. Please continue to checking out the Third Tier podcast. Don't forget to download Fan Hub. And until next time, up the Gills.